Hello, and welcome to our final case study of the semester in current findings in food. In this case study review, I'll be looking over the Starbucks Coffee Company and the case study given to us through the Harvard Business School. So, part one of this case study. So the name of this case study was the Starbucks Coffee Company Transformation and Renewal. And this case study analyzes the turnaround and reconstruction of the Starbucks Coffee Company. And it is led by the CEO and co-founder of Starbucks, Howard Schultz. And this process takes place between 2008 and 2014. This case offers an opportunity to examine how Schultz and his team at Starbucks, sorry about that, and his team at Starbucks, they were able to save the company from near collapse by returning to its core values and investigating a range of new products such as customer experience and organizational capabilities designed to make the company last in the ever-changing global economy. This process also started on the heels of the Great Recession of 2008, which caused Starbucks to consider the impact of the shifts in consumer spending and confidence, as well as new competition to the company. And the case ends by examining Schultz's own leadership journey and the lessons he learned during the Starbucks transformation and how he is using those lessons within Starbucks to remain at the top of the coffee market. So, major facts that were presented in the case. One of the main ones was that the CEO Schultz was worried about the company and how it had become over commoditized and that had lost sight of its original purpose, and that in order to create loyalty and satisfied employees, Schultz had to make a massive change to the company. And also that the Starbucks market dominance, coupled with its hyper aggressive expansion strategy, led to a significant rate of cannibalization among its own stores, as noted by Thompson. And in mid-November of 2008, the case study talked about how the company's stock prices had dropped to a record low of $7.83 per share. From the case itself, some inferences that could be made from the facts presented were that through lack of transforming and innovating, Starbucks lost some of their leadership. And then Starbucks also started focusing on its gross margins other than its employees and customers, and which was a reason it was starting to go downhill as well. And rather than focusing on the core values and the company and its atmosphere, and reinventing and creating new projects to reinvent the organization, they kind of stayed stagnant. But the turnaround and the inference that I got from the case study was that arguably Starbucks became one of the first places that was able to give people the pleasure of their product and also satisfy a social need, which is one thing that Starbucks has done very well. So part 2 of this case study, what were some concepts from the case study that align with Cotter's theory of change that we've talked about throughout this semester and read about? And one that I felt was used in the case study or seen in this case study was the concept from step 1 of Cotter's change theory of creating an urgency and identifying and highlighting the potential threats and the repercussions that might come up in the future. And we saw this where we saw that Starbucks in the time period leading up to 2008 was still making profits and growing well, but the rate of their growth was lower compared to previous years. And that was kind of a dangerous sign because a constant reduction in growth rate could turn the company into a reduced profits situation. By analyzing the situation and understanding the need of transformation, Schultz realized that if they wanted the organization to remain flourishing, they had to come under the process of reinvention. So being able to see those issues that are going to come up in the future and then reinvent. And then Schultz also took several steps to put the company back on track and made sure that the company were sticking to its core values. Schultz also put the organization into kind of a endless transformation process through initiatives to offer new innovating products to customers and by forcing employees to stick with the company's values. Another concept that I saw used was from step 5 of Cotter's change theory. So removing obstacles and ensuring that the organizational process and the structure are in place and aligned with the overall organization's vision. So Schultz began taking drastic measures to retrain and redevelop the company culture. And one of these was seen by Schultz closed every U.S. Starbucks store for half a day back in February of 2008 for training. And in October of the same year, he spent over $30 million on employee conferences. And he also invested in health benefits for all employees who worked more than 20 hours per week. So each one of these moves were risky, considering the company's financial position at the time, but a way that Schultz was trying to remove obstacles that Starbucks could run into. So what is a stage of Cotter's that should have been better developed by the leaders of Starbucks at this time? For me, that's step 8 of Cotter's change. And that is anchoring change in the corporate culture and ensuring that change becomes an integral part in your organizational culture and visible in every organizational aspect. And the main change that I'm referring to here is that of kind of being on top of things when it comes to social and racial issues. So for example, a recent thing not too long ago that Starbucks kind of got into some heat for, where 2 Black men were denied use of their restroom because they hadn't purchased any products. And then when they sat down in the store, they were asked to leave, and an employee even called the police, and the men were subsequently arrested. And so what they could have done to change is, they, should have had some type of plan already set up and to be aware of kind of these racial and social issues. And effectively achieving a renewing response requires a mindset shift on the part of the communications, the head of the company and their communications with their fellow employees. And then But from this, a change, Starbucks did see this and start to make a change. And they viewed this kind of racial incident as a call for the organization to learn and grow. And so Starbucks has responded in their company by responding with ideas that are grounded in pre-existing and previously communicated values that the store already held. And then there is still an organizational leader responsibility to the incident. And, you know, Starbucks leaders, you know, weren't what they weren't doing then, what they are doing now is Starbucks leaders served as a credible and effective voice that communicated the value of the crisis for organizational growth. In part 3 of the case study. So what are some solutions that we talked about previously? Well, Starbucks needs to realize the operational activities of the brand in order to make productive innovation and excellent service delivery. They needed to train employees to boost morale and motivate them to provide alike consistent and unique brand experiences. And they need to utilize social media techniques and set bars to utilize modern technologies. And they need to implement and innovate consumer-focused approaches. But as shown in the case study, over time, Schultz's bold Starbucks transformation strategy has started to bear some fruit. Employees knew that the company valued their contributors based on the changes Schultz made, making Starbucks a more pleasant place to work. And then new technologies helped baristas work more efficiently. And the improved corporate ethics and dedication to sustainability helped them improve throughout the market. And then as of 2014, the company was trading at $77.81 per share versus that $7 and change we'd spoke about earlier. So in my final recommendations for Starbucks would be that Starbucks needs to reduce its liability exposure and risk related to advertisement and promotion. And in 2008, Starbucks had spent reportedly $129 million on advertising, and which was a lot higher than they'd spent in previous years. And Starbucks also, their leaders could focus more on standardizing products by acquiring new resources, centralizing leadership costs, and reinventing the logistics of management. And as talked about in the study and from research, in the coming years, the Starbucks business plan involves digital payment systems that allows customers to pay with their cell phone rather than a cash or card. Another focuses on rapid expansion into new markets around the globe, including China, and then other new stores around the world, integrating new designs to make Starbucks a unique and artistic space. A lot of these things have already been implemented. It's kind of hard to differentiate between talking about the current Starbucks and the previous Starbucks from 2008 to 2014 specifically. But a lot of the recommendations that I saw that could be made are things that Starbucks have kind of started to already do on their own, if not already done. So they are definitely moving in the right direction. Thanks for listening to my presentation. I appreciate it. That's all.